There is a specific kind of haircut that has been quietly handed to women over 60 for decades, and most stylists give it without a second thought because it has become so deeply associated with a certain age that everyone just assumes it is the appropriate and sensible choice. It is not appropriate. It is not sensible. And it is absolutely not inevitable. The granny cut is a real thing. Not just a phrase people use casually to describe a haircut that is too short or too old-fashioned. It is a specific set of characteristics, a specific way of cutting and shaping hair on a mature head, that consistently creates one unmistakable impression, the impression of a woman who has accepted age as something that determines what she is allowed to look like rather than a woman who is actively and confidently deciding that for herself. And the most infuriating part of this is how easily it happens. You sit in that chair. You say something vague like "I want something easy to manage." Your stylist nods, picks up the scissors, and 30 minutes later, you are looking at a version of yourself that you never consciously chose. A version that feels fine in the moment, but quietly chips away at your confidence every single morning when you catch your reflection. Today we are naming 3 specific haircuts that fall into the granny cut category, and explaining exactly why each one ages the women who wear them. And for every single one, we are giving you the alternative that your stylist should have been offering you all along. Cut number 2 is the one that surprises almost everyone who hears it named, because it is extremely common and extremely well-intentioned, worn by millions of women over 60 who chose it specifically because they thought it was the modern, current option. It is quietly doing something to the face that most of them have genuinely never had explained. Stay until the very end, because the alternatives we are giving you today are going to change how your next salon appointment goes completely. Welcome back, beautiful. So glad you are here. And if you are completely new, welcome to Ageless Glow, where women over 60 discover how to look genuinely stunning without spending a fortune. Hit subscribe and let us get into these 3 cuts right now. Tap subscribe and the bell right now so you never miss a video. New tips every single week made specifically for you. Now let us go. A granny cut ages a woman over 60 in one of 3 specific ways. It removes the framing that a mature face needs around it to look lifted and defined. It adds volume in the wrong places, creating a round, closed silhouette that makes the face look heavier rather than more defined. Or it carries such a specific visual association with age and outdated styling that the brain reads it as a timestamp rather than as a choice. 3 haircuts. Every one of them doing at least one of these 3 things. And for every one, a clear, accessible, completely achievable alternative that does the opposite. Let us begin. Granny cut 1. The very close, uniformly cropped all-over perm or tight curl set. The first granny cut is the one most closely associated with the actual phrase, and it remains one of the most common haircuts given to women over 60 in salons everywhere. A very close, uniformly cropped cut with a tight perm or curl set applied evenly from the nape to the crown, creating a perfectly round, uniformly textured head of hair with no variation in length, no visible face framing, and no movement anywhere in the shape. This cut ages women over 60 through 2 of the 3 mechanisms described in the introduction simultaneously. The tight uniform curl and the close uniform cropping create a round, closed silhouette with no directional lines that could lift, elongate, or define the mature face sitting below it. The eye reads the entire head as one circular shape, and that circular shape has no relationship with the features it is supposed to be framing. It simply sits on top of the face like a helmet, adding visual weight at the crown and creating a heaviness that makes the face below look broader and more compressed than it actually is. Additionally, the very specific combination of a tight perm with a close crop carries the strongest era association of any cut on this list. The brain reads it immediately as belonging to a specific and very identifiable phase of a woman's life, and that reading happens before anything else about the woman is noticed. The alternative: a short, natural texture cut with defined shape and movement. If natural curl is the goal, ask for a cut that works with the curl's natural movement, rather than uniformly compressing it against the scalp. If the preference is for short hair, ask for a short textured cut with deliberate variation in length between the crown, the sides, and the nape, so the shape has genuine architecture rather than uniform roundness. Volume at the crown, slightly shorter and cleaner at the sides. Movement rather than compression. Definition rather than uniformity. Granny cut 2. The blunt, one length, chin length bob with no layers. Here it is. Cut number 2. The one that surprises almost everyone. The blunt, one-length, perfectly uniform chin-length bob, cut straight across the bottom with no layers, no texture, no face framing, and no movement anywhere in the style. This surprises people because the bob feels modern. It feels like a deliberate, stylish choice rather than a default. And on a younger woman with thicker, more resilient hair, a blunt chin-length bob can absolutely look current and striking. On a woman over 60, this specific version of the bob does something very particular to the face. The blunt hemline at the chin creates a strong horizontal line directly at the jaw level, and that horizontal line draws the eye sideways and downward, landing exactly at the area of the face that has naturally changed the most with age. Rather than softening the jawline, it frames it. Rather than lifting the eye upward toward the most interesting features, it anchors the attention at the lowest, heaviest part of the face. Additionally, a completely layerless one-length bob on fine mature hair has no volume, no movement, and no dimension. It sits flat against the head, falls in one direction, and by midday looks significantly thinner and flatter than it did when the styling began, because there was never any structure built into it in the first place. The alternative is a bob that keeps the length but transforms the execution. Ask for a layered bob, with internal layers built through the interior of the cut, rather than visible stepped layers at the perimeter. Ask for point cut or razor cut ends rather than a blunt straight hemline. Ask for face framing pieces that begin at the cheekbone and fall gently forward rather than a straight line across the bottom of the cut. These three changes keep everything about the bob that is good and eliminate everything about it that ages. Granny cut 3. The very short, flat back and sides with no crown interest. The third granny cut is the one chosen most often for purely practical reasons, and it is the one where the disconnect between the intention and the result is the widest. A very short cut with the back and sides cropped extremely close to the scalp, with no deliberate length or volume built into the crown, and no particular shape or direction given to the top of the style. Everything the same close length. Everything lying flat. Everything uniformly low maintenance. The specific aging mechanism here is the complete removal of any vertical counterbalance to the mature face. A mature face has naturally softened in the jaw and cheek area, and the body structure has shifted slightly over time. What a hairstyle needs to do for a face at this stage of life is provide some upward energy, some directional lift, something that pulls the eye upward rather than allowing it to travel downward with gravity. A very short, uniformly flat cut provides none of this. It flattens the crown, removes any height above the face, and leaves the mature face sitting at the bottom of the head with no visual counterweight above it. The result is a face that looks heavier, wider, and more settled into gravity than the exact same face with even a small amount of crown lift would look. The alternative is a short cut designed with specific intention. Ask for a short cut where the crown retains 2 to 3 inches of length that can be directed and lifted with a small amount of product. Ask for graduation at the sides rather than uniformly close clipping, so the sides taper gradually rather than sitting flat. Ask for texture throughout the cut rather than a single length. This approach keeps the practicality of short hair while building in the lift and direction that the granny version completely removes. 3 cuts covered, 3 alternatives in hand. If this is already changing how you are thinking about your next salon appointment, please hit the like button right now. It genuinely helps this video reach more women over 60, who are sitting in salon chairs every day receiving cuts that were never chosen with their best interest at heart. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 3 cuts you have had or whether you have been tempted by any of them. I read every single comment. Share this with a friend who has a salon appointment coming up and deserves to walk in completely prepared. Let us finish with the final word on all 3 alternatives.